Hello and welcome to Learn Web Dev. Today we will be building a Pomodoro timer. In case you don't know what a Pomodoro timer is, it's basically a timer which helps you beat procrastination and stay focused for longer periods of time. It works by defining an amount of time, usually 25 minutes, where you are fully focused on a task, followed by a rest time of usually 5 minutes. So here you can see we have 25 minutes of work time and 5 minutes of break time. When we press start, the timer counts down till 0. When it hits 0, the break time will start. When the break time hits 0, the cycle will increase by 1 and it will start all over again. We can also pause the timer, as you can see, restart it again at the same position. Also we can pause it, reset it, and it will be at the default value again. Then you can start it again. You can also reset it again, and it will also automatically jump to 25 minutes. Okay, let's start. Alright, let's start. First we will create the HTML structure, change the title to Pomodoro Timer. Then we will create a div with the ID container. Inside this container we will create a p tag with the ID work and the class label. The text inside it will be work. Then you can copy and paste it 2 times. Change the second ID to break and the text also to break. Change the third ID to cycles and the text to cycles. This is essentially our labels for the timers. Then we will create the work timer. We will create a div with the ID work timer and the class timer. Inside this div we will create a p tag with the ID w minutes for work minutes, w_minutes for the work minutes. We can choose a value of 25 minutes. Then we will create another p tag with the class semicolon. This is just for the semicolon, so it looks a little bit cleaner. Then we will create another div with the ID w seconds and we will input 00 as the value. So then we can copy all of this, paste it and change it to break, change the ID to break timer, change the w to b and the w here to b. In the middle we can also add a PID with the ID, p tag with the ID counter and the class timer. This is just our counter, which is defaulted at 0. And below our break timer we can create 3 buttons. Just copy and paste them. The text will be start, pause and reset. We'll create IDs for them with the ID start, the ID stop and the ID reset. Then we can also add a class with the ID button, with the name button. We can add it to every single one of them. Then we need to link our style sheet, link rel style sheet, and href will be style.css in my case. And above your closing body tag we will add a script with the src, the source as main.js. In my case you have to add whatever you named your JavaScript file. Then we can save everything. The style.css I already coded, so we don't have to waste as much time. The source code is in the description below. And now we can save everything and refresh our page, and there you have it. We have a nice timer with some buttons, and the break time is wrong. It should be 5, so we have 5 minutes of break, not 25. And next we will add the JavaScript. So go over to your JavaScript file and first create some variables. First the start variable to get the start button, the reset button and the stop button. Then we can select every single one of them while holding Alt and pressing on the lines. So we save some time, set the variables to document get element by ID, and then just type the ID which you gave your buttons. In my case, it's start, stop, and reset. Start, stop, and reset. So now we need to create some variables for the work minutes and seconds. So WM will be the work minutes. Document get element by ID, W_minutes. This is just the same as the ID you gave your work minutes with the 25 as a text. Then you can just copy and paste it and change the M to S for work seconds and change the ID to seconds. Then you can copy all of this, paste it for the break. So break minutes, break seconds, break minutes, break seconds. So then we will create or store a reference to a timer variable. We'll call this timer, this variable start timer, and then we will create the function to count down, and we'll call this function timer. And inside this timer we will set an if statement for work seconds. If work seconds dot inner text does not equal 0, inner text is the inner text of your HTML file. So the 25 is the inner text, the work is inner text, the 00 is inner text, and this is how you can get the inner text and change it. So if work seconds does not equal 0, so if it's 1 to 59 seconds or 59 as a number, we will tell the work seconds inner text to decrement by 1. So for example, if work seconds is at 59 seconds, we will decrement it. Else if work minutes inner text does not equal 0, so if the work minutes does not equal 0, so if the minutes is at 1 or 59, and the work seconds inner text does equal 0, we will set the work seconds to 59 seconds and the work minutes to decrement. So what this does is, if the seconds is not 0, so if it's for example 5, we will decrement it. So 4, 3, 2, 1 till it's 0. If it's not 0, if it's 0, it will do nothing. But if the work minutes is to 25, for example, and the work seconds is at 0, so just as it is right now, we will set the seconds to 59, indicating that we're decrementing a whole minute. So we set the seconds to 59, and we will decrement the minutes by 1, so 24. And we will call this function every second. So every second it's checking. And the next thing we will do is set another if statement. If work minutes inner text is 0 and work second inner text. So if work minutes and work seconds is 0, and if break seconds inner text does not equal 0, we'll do the same as above. So just set the just make the break seconds decrement by 1. And else if, I can actually just copy this and paste it inside here and change the W's to a B. So we'll do the exact same, but just for this. So when the work minutes and seconds is at 0, we will start the break timer. And then we will, so I can just add some comments, wait. Work timer count countdown. This is the break timer countdown. And now we will create the increment counter by 1 if 1 full cycle is completed. And we do this by checking if work minutes is at 0, work seconds is at 0, and we'll check if break minutes is at 0, and you guessed it right, we'll check if break seconds is at 0. If all of this is true, so we'll check if work is at 0 and break is at 0. This must mean that we have completed 1 full cycle. So we can first set the work minutes .inner text to 25. We will reset the timer. Here we need to add a string. Then we will set the break minutes inner text to 5 and the break seconds inner text to 0. And then we will get our counter. Our counter has the ID of counter. So we will say document.get element by ID. Oops. Counter dot inner text plus plus. So I hope it's clear what I'm trying to explain, but we have a function and we're checking if the work seconds is not 0. So it's 0, so it will not decrement. But if the work minutes does not equal 0, so if the work minutes is any value but 0, so 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 50 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever, and the seconds is at 0, we will set the 0 value to 59 seconds and decrease the inner text of the minutes by 1. So we will set 25 to 24. Then we will check the break timer. If the break timer minutes value, first we will check, of course, if the work minutes and work seconds is at 0. So if this is 0, the timer has counted down completely and we can start the break timer. So if this is 0, we will start with the break. And now it's checking if break seconds, essentially just doing the same as above. If break seconds is not 0, decrement. It is at 0, so it can't decrement. So it's checking for the break minutes inner text value, which is not 0, it's 5, which I declared here. If it's not 5, if it's not 0, and the seconds is 0, do this. So it's setting the seconds to 59, and it's setting the minutes to decrement by 1, so 4. So it's essentially a timer. We will call this function every time. So it's checking every second and decrementing everything. And then we'll check if the work minutes, so if the minutes is at 0, seconds is at 0, and the break minutes is at 0, and the break second is at 0. If all of this is true, then we will set everything to the default values. So we will set it to be like this. So one cycle is complete, we will reset all the values and increment the counter by 1. And this is actually the whole function. Now we just need to add the buttons. We do this here maybe. So we have our button here above. We'll just start at event listener, set the click function, and here we'll first create a if statement and check if start timer does equal undefined. We have created a variable here, but we haven't assigned anything to it, so it's automatically undefined. And if it's undefined, we will say start timer set interval, and then we'll set the timer function. So timer, we don't need to add the parentheses, and for 1000 milliseconds. So when we press the button, it will check if start timer is undefined. If it's undefined, then we can start the timer and set the function's interval to 1 second. So after pressing this start button, the timer will fire every second. So this function will fire every second. But if it's not undefined, so it's already running, we will just alert the user and tell him that the timer is already running. I think we can try it now. Save everything, refresh the page, and start the timer. It's not working. We can check the console. WS is null. Okay. I wonder why. Because I have set it to be a dash and not a underscore. Same here. Now we can save it, refresh everything, and you can see it's counting down. And this is exactly what is in this function timer. You can see when I press the button, it's checking. And it's setting the seconds to 59 and counting down the minutes by 1. And because the seconds does not equal 0 anymore, so it's everything but 0, it will count down the seconds every second, because we set the interval to call the function every second. And now we can check the cycles and break. We can do this just by changing the values in our HTML file. We change it to be the work time we change the work seconds to be 5 and the break seconds to be 5, just so we can check fastly. So we can start the timer. It will count down to 0. Then it should start the break. If the break hits 0, the cycle should increment by 1, and then it should reset to 25, because here we have set the value to be 25. You can see. Okay, we have one little issue. I found the issue. I've set two equal signs. I don't know why, but save everything. Now we can refresh the page, and now it should work. So you can see it's checking. When the break is over, it should increment the cycles by 1 and set work to 25 and break to 5 minutes. And keep going. Perfect. So we have it working. Now we just need to make these buttons work. And if you press on start, it's telling you timer is already running. If you don't do this, for example, let's just remove this if statement and just say do this. If we do this, we can press a lot of times on the start timer and it will count down really fast. So always include some conditioning because of that. And now we will add the reset and the stop button. So first the reset, add event listener, click, function. Let me see if I'm recording. I'm recording. And for the reset function event listener, we will just set the minutes and break value to be the default value which we have included here, or just what you want to have the value be when you press on reset. And also we can get the counter and set its value, its inner text to 0, because we are resetting everything. Okay, also we will need to add the stop button, add event listener, click, function, and inside here we will add the stop interval function, which we will create now. Start timer function, and here we'll just stop timer function. We'll create a function with the name stop interval, and to stop by interval we will just type clear interval and set our value which we have attached our function to, which is this one, start timer. So now we can copy this little function and add it to our stop event listener. So every time we press this button, it will stop the interval. Also we can add it to our reset function, but there's still one thing missing, because when we press start and we press pause, it will reset everything. Wait, why does it even reset on pause? Because I've swapped the variable names. Now, if we press start, it should pause at, for example, 6 seconds. Yes, but if we press start, it will say timer's already running. So we will need to set the start timer to be undefined again. So now the timer is undefined, and if we press the start button again, it will check, is start timer undefined? Yes, it is. Okay, we can start the timer. So refresh the page, press start. Now you can see we'll pause the button. It will pause at 7 seconds, it won't do anything. And we can start and we'll just keep going. Also, we can press on reset, it will stop the timer and reset all the values to the default values. And yeah, this is it. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you could learn something, and if you liked it, please leave a like, subscribe, and leave a comment. And thank you.